Begin. Okay, sir, we're ready to go, Bob.
Recording.
Okay, Ms. Heeman is unavailable for today's meeting. I've been asked to run the meeting. Call the meeting to order of the April 10th, 2025 City of Binghamton Traffic Board meeting. We'll start with as far as approval of previous meetings minutes.
Not sure I received them.
We'll have the March and April minutes ready for the May meeting.
Okay, thank you. New business. Open the floor for public comment for any new business before the traffic board. Does anyone wish to address the traffic board on new business? No new business before the traffic board. We'll move on to current business. First agenda item is regarding the Arena Street. Jennifer Saracino, Linda DiNardo, requesting an exemption from alternate side parking. If you wish to speak before the traffic board, please come forward and state your name and address.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Jennifer Saracino. I live at 15 the Arena Street. Okay. I live at 15 the Arena Street. I've lived there for 10 years and I've never had an issue with parking tickets on the Arena Street. We've never had, as far as I can remember, we've never had someone say that we were not exempt from alternate street parking. My neighbor called in 2018 to confirm that we were not. And because that's when she moved in next door to me. And she said that she's never, when she called, she was told that we were exempt from alternate street parking. There wasn't a place that I could see the archived alternate street parking exempt list. There was only the current one. So I can't confirm whether that was true or not when she did call, because I don't know who she spoke to, but I do believe her. We would like to be exempt from the alternate street parking on the Arena Street. Because when you come down the street, I'm the first house that would be there. So I'm the last car in line. Well, the first car in line. So I'm afraid when people come down that street, they're not going to pay attention, or so my car is going to be the first one that gets hit, or the school bus is not going to be able to get around it. The snow plows aren't going to be able to get around it. If there was a time during the middle of the day when we are supposed to move our cars from one side to the other, and there's two cars on the street, there's not enough room for buses, trucks, other cars to get down the street. Parking on the island is where all the snow plow trucks put the snow. So us parking on the island would hinder their access to the where they could put the snow on our street, because we are next to a school. So we're not technically, but we are usually one of the first streets that get plowed to make sure that kids can go to school the next day.
Okay, thank you for your comments. I know that Sergeant Muchich from the Police Traffic Division had gone out there and done some measurements, and there was some discussion amongst traffic board members. Do you have anything you need to add, Sergeant Muchich?
So, I went back to records. Arena Street was never, as far as I could look, and it was never exempt of the issue not being ticketed. That might have been just previous ticket guys might not weird off there, but confirming with the DPW, we are okay with making that street exempt. We do have to do the mailer, correct? If I'm not wrong, to make sure everybody's on board with that.
It's up to the traffic board, but we think it makes sense.
Yeah,
Because we do have like 2 or 3 people complain about it, but not the whole street. Also, we want to make sure that everybody's on board with this, that everybody is aware that one side is going to be cleared. So if we do have heavy snow, that they're not calling us, oh, our side is not being cleared, or if there's a car there.
Right.
I noticed that every house has the driveways that they can park. We would also ask if it's available to park their cars on the driveway, so we can, even though if we exempt it, so we can clear that. It is close to school. But yeah, traffic has no position of making that exempt.
As far as DPW goes, to reiterate what he said, as long as when we get big snow, 6 or 8 inches and above, and if everyone could just get in the driveway during those times so we can clear both sides and make it safe and open it up for everybody. As long as we can get our plow trucks around, we're fine with it.
So there's no more parking like on the island. It's either on our side of the street or in the driveway.
Well, the island itself, it's no parking zone right now.
Mhm.
So if we make it exempt, it would be just it would be no parking on the island as it is right now, when the alternate side is not in effect.
So what's going to happen is when there's not large amounts of snow, we're going to get the snow plows as close to the curb as we can on the house side. So that's everybody's driveway. And we're going to push the snow towards the islands.
Only when there's 6 to 8 inches. Anything less, we can park on the street.
You can park in the street unless we get, over 8 inches. And that's when there'll be, typically the mayor puts something out that we need to get all cars off the street.
Okay.
But I just want everyone to understand that everyone's used to having curb to curb all the time over there. That's not going to be the case. So when we get 2 or 3 inches and we come by and it's not pushed up tight the way everyone likes it, it's because the alternate is not there anymore. We're going to push everything to the other side as best we can. We're still going to clear your street. You'll be able to get in and out. It's just, you're not going to have the same service that you're used to.
I'm not used to the service being on the side with the driveways. I'm used to it being on the island. So that's why I'm confused.
Right. What I'm saying is we push everything to the islands, but if the cars never move, there's chances we don't even get to that snow because people just park on top, park on top, park on top.
Okay.
And then when a car does move, it's so ice packed, it doesn't come off.
Yep. I understand.
Mhm.
But for us to be off the street, it has to be over 6 inches is what you're saying.
Typically, yes.
Okay. So anything under that, we won't get tickets for. There will be no problem with us parking on the street.
Correct. Yes.
well, we need to vote on it
Yes,
officially.
yes,
So, and right now it's still in
Yeah,
discussion phase,
we're-
just a process thing.
So
Right.
this is just being discussed, and then once you approve it, this would be what?
Well, then it takes, well, I mean, we're out of the snow season, hopefully, hypothetically. Anyway, but then there's I think a 30-day window after, and I would like the mailer
Yeah.
to go out to make sure that we've hit and spoken to all of your neighbors.
Okay.
And then I believe city council gets to review. So, like the body of city council, but
Okay.
yes, I'm not hearing any pushback against it, so to me, what I'm hearing is that it sounds like it will likely move forward, assuming that your neighbors agree.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that
Yep.
I have all the information. So if I do talk to them, I can tell them correctly how we're supposed to park and what we're supposed to be doing.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I know.
Any other speakers regarding regarding the Arena Street alternate side parking? So if there's no other speakers at this point, I'd look for a motion to,
I mean, I can kind of speak on behalf of Connor when we get there. Are you
okay.
jumping
No,
to
I'm
the-
still on the Arena Street. I'd look for a motion to table the matter with the understanding that the city will proceed with a resident mailer to all residents of that neighborhood in regards to the issue and tabling it to review it further.
Motion.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Next item is Conklin Avenue at Mill and Exchange Streets. Mr. James Kahn requesting review to install a new lane use sign and pavement markings from the right turn only lane onto Exchange Street. Installing a pedestrian crossing sign at the marked crosswalks on Conklin Avenue and not at the signalized intersections. Any speakers on this issue, Conklin Avenue at Mill and Exchange Streets? Councilperson had comments on behalf of Mr. Khan?
no, this South Side issue was not brought to me prior to the meeting.
Okay. I think there was some discussion amongst traffic board for DPW to review that matter and that intersection as far as signage and markings.
As far as I can tell, it looks right. Where the crosswalks are, where the signs are, it all looks to be what he's looking for. Our arrows a little faded. Is the paint a little faded? Yes, we're just starting to get into the season where we repaint. Obviously, I put that on the list to double check it and make sure that gets done this paint season.
Okay. Could we request that be prioritized as far as when the paint crew's out?
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other discussion or comments regarding that situation? So at this point, I guess I'd need a motion to have DPW review it and order repainting of the intersection markings that are already pre-existing and any other traffic control that would be in need of attention.
Motion.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's carried. Next issue of business is Ivanhoe Road at Vestal Avenue. Connor Murphy. His request for a speed bump or raised crosswalk at the Greenway entrance. That's the recently designed crosswalk to facilitate access to the Greenway off of Vestal Avenue. Anyone here for discussion on that matter?
Mr. Murphy's a teacher, so he's teaching the children right now. But he did reach out to me about this one, and I did try and check it out myself as a part-time jogger here. I jogged around there. I crossed that crosswalk a number of times, often had people whizzing by. I got the sorry as they sped through the crosswalk. So my personal investigations on it is that people do not respect that crosswalk, there's just no awareness of it. Because when people got close, they were, oh, I messed up. So I do think that is an issue there, a safety issue. His request related to, hoping his children could walk to MacArthur, and having safety concerns about that walk.
Okay, thank you. As far as the police department, we can't speak to how the crosswalk was engineered necessarily. I talked to Sergeant Muchich in regards to this, and he's been out to look and monitor that location. I think the root cause may be excessive speed or failure to adhere to posted speed limits. Sergeant Muchich, you have anything in furtherance of that?
No, as you mentioned, we went out there a few times just to make sure that there's no obstructions that would prevent people from seeing sign or flashing lights. We couldn't find anything. So my thing is, I think people are just not obeying posted signage, and that could be remediated through probably some traffic enforcement.
I don't know if there's DPW has the portable speed signs. Can they be moved or is that in your control?
We have a speed sign down the street, just a little bit further, closer to the school already. That is a signalized intersection with the PEDs. So if you hit the button, there is flashing lights that go back and forth. As far as putting in a speed bump or a raised crosswalk, we just finished the road and the curbs and sidewalks along that whole stretch. I really would not want to dig into that anytime soon, to be utterly honest. I will double check signage down the street, make sure we have crosswalk ahead, pedestrian crossing ahead, all of that. I'll make sure that,
I believe that was all there.
Yeah.
And I did have the flash, to be clear, I had the flashing lights going as people were whizzing by me while I was in the crosswalk.
right, I get the concern. But there's not a whole lot more that DPW could really do as far as that goes. We can check speed signs and all of that if,
They're not.
I don't know about, do we have another? No. All right, we'll talk and we'll see if maybe we can put the speed trailer there or at least come up with something.
We did order the
least help.
speed trailer to that neighborhood in the fall for some fall months. Just overall speed control on Vessel Avenue. You said there is posted signage that there's a crosswalk ahead
I
in
believe
both
so.
directions. Okay.
If there's not, we can definitely take care of that.
I do recall the police department requested DPW to trim back foliage there last year, which they did do to try to open up visibility.
Yes, the trailway area is fair, like, I definitely felt like if you were driving, you should be able to see me over in the area by the sign, because it was definitely cut back.
Okay, so for this particular request is specifically requesting a speed bumper raised crosswalk at the Greenway entrance. I'm of the opinion that may not necessarily address the issue. If it's a safety concern, I would refer to how it's designed as far as the signals and the pedestrian crossing buttons. Does anyone have any other requests to have the matter tabled or reviewed further, or do you wish to? If not, we'll proceed with requesting a motion on the matter.
I was wondering if, like, in terms of how DPW keeps its documents, obviously, as you mentioned, they just redid Vestal Ave, so now would not be a great time. But where the paperwork and such is for 5, 10, 15 years, whenever it is on the time frame for it to be redone again, that there be a note with it to reopen the discussion for that location, just so we can try and make sure when it is the right time that we're having the conversation.
I can look into that and get back to you. Make sure
Yeah.
it's where it needs to be.
I just have one quick comment on this. I don't know the width of the lane, so it's not something that I'm recommending, but potentially looking into striping edge lines on there has the potential to slow traffic down just through the fact that it's visually narrowing the lane. Has a tendency to slow people down. I don't know if that would fit. Just an option to look into when you're out there.
Thank you.
Okay, that being said, I guess I'd look for a motion at this point to table it and review the possibility of striping it to narrowed lane for safety purposes, approaching that crosswalk. Would that be correct?
Vote on. I could do my own. I think you can vote on the speed bump or raised crosswalk piece, and then I don't know, this rises to the level of motion. I mean, that's.
Okay,
It was more of a suggestion.
okay, thank you. At this point, I then would look for a motion to deny the raised speed bump or crosswalk raised at that Greenway entrance.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? Okay, motion carried with the understanding that traffic and DPW will work together to see if they can change striping and make that a safer location. That's all I had on the agenda for New business. Traffic board determinations. Anyone wish to address the traffic board regarding Oak Street, regarding raised crosswalk? If you would state your name and if you're with an agency or your address.
Good morning. My name is Nicole Hurlbert. I oversee the Creating Healthy Schools and Communities grant that's housed by the Broome County Health Department. And I have Devin Link here with me, who oversees our physical activity access initiative under the CHISC grant. The last time we were here, we discussed the possibility, and I guess I would say project proposal, of having a raised crosswalk at Oak Street, right out in front of the main entrance of the Binghamton High School. Since we have had conversations with the City of Binghamton about some, I would say, logistical and financial limitations, as our grant is not able to pay for labor. And there's also some issues with raised crosswalk and ADA compliance. So we have since pivoted. We've been working with Passero, who is, I believe they're based out of Albany, but the school district has contracted to complete a traffic study. Their preliminary findings, we did get a letter of support, but they are in support of having a temporary speed table that is utilized as a raised crosswalk, essentially, put into place, along with temporary landing pads that would eliminate, we're thinking, two parking spaces. And along with some pedestrian crossing signage, advanced field marking.
Could you tell me what a landing pad is?
A landing pad, yes. My understanding of a landing pad. And we do have some examples that we can pass these around, but essentially with the raised crosswalk, it wouldn't be ADA compliant. So with a raised traffic table, this is essentially like a pad that would connect the two. So as it stands right now, where the crosswalk or the raised speed table would be, it would not connect to a sidewalk. So this would overlay on top of the grass and allow for that to connect to the sidewalk and be ADA compliant.
It's a temporary alternative to creating the curb cutouts. That way we don't have to like completely redo the entire concrete curbs.
Which seem to be one of the biggest barriers of being able to put in a permanent raised crosswalk or even the temporary raised crosswalk, the City of Binghamton.
With that crosswalk, is there striping that the city would be required, or the device comes pre-striped or marked somehow to designate it as a legal crosswalk by the traffic law?
So I'm not entirely sure. If it would be, I'm not entirely sure about the legal crossing, if that makes sense. The temporary speed table does come pre-marked, and the recommendation from Passero is that there's advanced yield markings that are put into place, which we would be able to pay for materials, so the cost of the paint, but City of Binghamton would be responsible for. We do know that speed tables have been utilized as crosswalks.
It only comes pre-marked if you purchase it that way. So you could purchase it without markings on it.
Okay.
But then we do have to put in, the informal word for it is shark teeth. I don't know the like formal term for it, but it's advanced yield signs. I believe that had to be 20 feet in front of the crosswalk, but I'm not sure. And there are the yield signs on the speed table signs. That way cars are aware that it goes up. So nobody will drive onto it thinking that it's flat.
Pass that around so we can.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that packet, the first packet is everything that we received from Passero, which is the engineering firm. It's the letter of support and then all of the items that are going to be required in order to implement Oak Street. Oop. The second packet is a quote that I got from Traffic Logic. It for the speed table on its own. It is a little bit under because I estimated the road to be 30 feet, but it's 36 feet. And then the third letter is a summary of findings from BMTS, which is our local traffic firm. And it goes through some solutions, and the speed table is listed on there as one of the crosswalks.
Okay, was there any discussion or questions from traffic board members to the speaker?
I would think that engineering and DPW would want to review that. We've got to make sure it doesn't restrict drainage.
My understanding is that it's already gone to everybody that would have to be involved with the implementation of it, and we did get the clearing. I don't know how official that is, but just through.
I have not seen the paperwork
Oh,
that
okay.
you're sending around. We've talked about installing a speed table and there was some temporary stuff, but I've never seen the paperwork that's being handed right now.
That's good to know.
Nor have I.
Yeah. As far as concerns from the police department, it would have to be, what are we specifically declaring it as, either a speed table for the purposes of slowing traffic, or if it's an actual marked and enforceable pedestrian crosswalk, obviously it would affect how vehicle operators proceed and if they're yielding pedestrians or required to yield pedestrians or not, or if it's just there to slow traffic in the immediate area there of the school. So obviously there's DPW and engineering concerns for further review. Any other discussion or questions from traffic board members?
I just had a question. This is a temporary, do you have a time frame? Is there like a set 90 days or 6 months that the school is planning to implement this and observe? Or is it just kind of temporary until you kind of have enough information to see whether it's working or not?
I would say it's, at least right now, it's temporary until we have enough information to see if it's working or not. I do feel like that we have proposed this at a unique time because the school, they contracted with Passero, because they're just complete with their preliminary findings. And ideally, they would be able to do some type of post-assessment, which we're able to under our grant, but not to the extent that a formal engineering firm would be able to. But that's the hopes. And this has been an issue that's been going around for quite some time. We're not able to spend these grant funds after May. Our new grant year starts in June. So this is a project that has been identified since the beginning, I would say before we even came on board with the grant. But we've been trying to focus in on and come up with at least a temporary solution for City of Binghamton. And in order for us to, assess if this would be the best protocol to install a permanent raised crosswalk in there. But we are able to work with the school district to focus on some behavioral changes. And I think that we would have some pretty good insight by this time next year to know whether or not this was a successful solution.
So where the device connects to the west side of the curb line, I understand there's issues as far as ADA compliance and curb cuts. So it would connect over the top or to the curb. Is the city required then to extend the sidewalk portion of the city right away there to this device? Is that what you're proposing? If it's used for an actual crosswalk, because it would connect to then what is like lawn space or unfinished curbside area.
So my understanding is that's the purpose of the temporary landing pad is to connect to the existing crosswalk. That way nothing permanent would have to be changed on like the infrastructure end.
Right, but there's no crosswalk there now, correct? So the curb would be raised, and then the other side of the curb between the city sidewalk and the curb line would be presumably earth that would then have to be improved, or, concrete.
I think the landing pad goes on top, so we wouldn't have to put the concrete down.
It goes over the curb to the sidewalk.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any additional questions of the speaker from any traffic board member?
The deadline is May, so you would need a decision ideally at this meeting, correct? Is that?
Yeah, that's what we were told.
I don't know if engineering and DPW are prepared to make a final determination to proceed at this point without more in-depth review.
I don't think I am.
Is it possible to schedule another traffic board meeting for this month? While we're all here?
Yeah, the members can vote to have a special meeting.
If I'm understanding this correctly, this is not really a traffic table, it's gonna be a crossing. Because if they're using it to see if it works or not. So then we'd have to have all the signals and everything that go with that, right?
Depends. Depending what we're using it. If we're using it for a crosswalk, yeah, we have to readjust signage for a pedestrian crosswalk so it can be enforced. If we're just using it as a speed table to slow down, we still have to do different signage, but it's
Right, so is it,
not traffic enforceable. It's just to slow
right,
down.
so is it,
traffic,
so is it a speed table or is it a
That's our-
temporary,
That
a
is our,
temporary crosswalk to see if the crosswalk works?
that is our question too.
I would identify this as a speed table that would be utilized as a temporary crosswalk.
It would have the crosswalk indicator.
So it has to meet crosswalk standards. And I don't know if the sidewalk comes to the curb on the west side. I don't think it does.
No, it doesn't.
No, it does not.
So that means that we would have to do something there to,
And would the landing pad suffice for connecting?
no, because that landing pad just comes to the curb, so we still got the grass strip that we'd have to do something with for the handicap.
The landing pad is designed to span the whole grass median, right? From
That was-
curb to sidewalk.
That was my understanding with my conversations
Is
with
there a picture there?
Passera. It should be on the very first page of the image of how it connects.
How do they hook together?
I assume we're gonna get a digital copy to everyone too.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. I need to know how we anchor them and all that. Well, but we wouldn't have this, would we? Because at the speed table out here, so it should be a straight shot.
Yeah.
Or does that speed table go from curb to curb or just?
Curb to curb.
Have that one.
Massive goes around.
Here.
Right.
The sign, so it's gonna be. And then the map goes here, and the other side is all papers.
Right.
Question.
Yep.
Looks like it's just. Middle. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it. This is the updated version.
Can we schedule another meeting after we study this a little bit?
Requesting another meeting to discuss for review.
Yes. So
Okay,
Josh and I can get together and make sure we can do it.
okay. And to confirm again, your deadline for approvals and acceptance is when exactly?
Well, they have to make the order, right?
Yeah, so ideally we'd have materials in hand by May 31st.
Chief, if we can get 3 members available next Thursday at the same time, that's enough to hold a meeting.
I will just add that we're at a conference next week. If we don't need to be here, then that's a-okay, but if we need to be present, then.
I don't believe you'd need to be present. I think the issue is a more thorough review by the city engineer and DPW. And then for the determination to be made, if we call for a special meeting, then your attendance wouldn't be required for the board to vote one way or the other.
Okay.
So I guess at this point, we'll consider that a motion to hold a special meeting of the traffic board 1 week from today for the purposes of further review and voting on this matter.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
And you're gonna send us a digital copy of all this?
All opposed? So motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You just want to mention, we still have one Lathrop.
Yeah, I was just going to address that with you. I omitted an agenda item. I'm going off of 2 agendas. An updated version is permissible. Mr. Martinez, I can go back to new business and address that.
Yeah.
Pending item on the itinerary. Reverting back to new business regarding 1 Lathrop Street. Applicant David King requesting review for removal of unnecessary no parking zone. I believe traffic board member, councilperson had some information on that. Oh, you did not? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That is Sergeant Mucic has information regarding that situation.
Yeah, so Mr. King reached out to me just requesting the review of the no parking zone in front of his house. He stated that his elderly family member that was residing at that location years ago requested that to be put in front of the location that serves no purpose right now. I went out and reviewed the location. I do not see the need for that zone. And we're requesting that we take that zone, no parking zone of approximately 40 feet long, no parking zone in front of 1 Lathrop Street would be removed.
Any other discussion on that matter on Lathrop Street? If not,
Does it impact any other? No,
No.
other than providing them more parking? Okay,
right.
that sounds great.
Okay, if any other discussion, if not, I'd look for a motion to remove the no parking zone as proposed, 1 Lathrop Street.
Motion.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, returning back to traffic board determinations regarding 46 Riverside Drive. The applicant Barbara Mullen had appeared before a traffic board prior, requesting a review of alternate side parking rules and requests for handicap parking, specific as it applies to the period of alternate side parking. I know there was discussion with Sergeant Mucic in the traffic division and DPW regarding street width and plow accessibility. Do you have anything to provide on that?
Yes, again, went out to the location, measured everything. This application was also once denied last year, I believe. In February of 2024 was denied due to just the length of the street and being narrow for not to be able to park on both sides. If the vehicles are parking on both sides, DPW will have a hard time pushing plows straight through without angling them to one side or the other. So traffic division again is against making the street exempt from alternate side. However, we do believe that an extra handicap parking space is warranted on the other side of the street. So just when we have the alternate side, that they can use at least one handicap.
Let me see if I got it, remember it correctly. Right now, there's 2 handicap on one side, or is that incorrect?
She stated incorrectly.
Okay.
Right now, and according to our traffic thing, there's only one handicap on side. And it's 33 feet long, one handicap. So it would be creating an extra, but just the business, what kind of business is there? I think it's kind of warranted to have, so they at least have one handicap parking during the alternate side parking.
you for
Sergeant,
clarifying.
you're stating that because it's a medical business, it warrants having at least one space available.
Yes, and then there's no, that business is on a corner and there's really no driveways or anything. They have 0 parking on their property.
Okay, any other discussion or comment regarding 46 Riverside Drive?
Want to kind of reiterate, the compromise is we're going to add a handicap spot on the other side of the street, but during snow season, when alternate side is in effect, it's still alternate side. That doesn't just mean that a handicap person can just park there, because that is going to block the road. So everyone's understands where we're going. This is the compromise to make sure that people can get where they got to go, but still get the snow plowed.
Yeah, I think they're aware of that because they stated too that during the alternate side, they lose that handicap on one day, every other day they lose it. So they're aware that once we move it on the other, create another, it's one or the other once that starts.
Okay. It'd probably be appropriate for a sign shop to make specialized signage for that particular handicap sign stating only permissible during alternate side parking. I don't know that we have that elsewhere in the city, but this is a special circumstance based on that intersection and the type of business it's servicing.
I'm sure we can work something out.
Yeah, I think it's permissible. Like once we put that in, it's once the alternate side is not in effect, the handicap will be, they can park there every day. So it would be just creating for, if it's not alternate side, it would be creating another handicap there.
Right.
For that 9 months, and then for the 3 months that we have alternate side, it would be just one or the other.
Yeah.
Understood. Any other discussion on that?
So just want to make sure that I have it clear. So what we're looking at is adding a second space. We're not adding any additional language to say that that second space, disabled space, is only for alternate side. Just
No, it can be.
straightforward,
It can,
adding a
it
space.
can be used, yeah, it can be used whole year, 9 months out of the year, it'll be used every day. If there's a handicapped person that needs to use it, and then the 3 months that it's alternate side, it's gonna be used every other day when it's in effect.
Okay, and further into a workable solution to the problem here, I'd look for a motion specifying the adding of that particular handicap parking space as it's been discussed.
Motion.
I have a second.
Second,
You also do one denying the request for exemption.
Okay, can I make that part of the same motion or a separate, as well as request attached to that motion denying for the second full spot? Okay, I have a motion, second, and is there any, are all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Next order of business is regarding Duffy Court. Applicant is Department of Public Works request to prohibit on-street parking outside of that residential apartment complex, and that is a cul-de-sac type street. Dead end that's has private parking on the property and it's pre-existing. Any additional discussion from DPW or commentary regarding that situation?
We sent the mailers out for that a while back. We're still kind of waiting to hear back on some of that stuff, so I'd kind of like to table this one more time. Seeing that we're out of snow season now anyway, we have some time to really look into it, and maybe if we have to, just reevaluate exactly what we're gonna do in there.
Okay, any other discussion or comments from traffic board members? If not, I'd look for a motion to table the matter, awaiting response from residential mailing and further review by DPW.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Any other new business before the traffic board from any member of the traffic board? No one else from the public appears to be present.
Yeah, I got a request to bring up where Mary becomes so Mary becomes one way towards the bottom. I guess the constituents have been complaining that sometimes people go one way the wrong way, particularly close to where it's not. I did go around, I took pictures, I emailed them over. I mean, it's kind of clearly marked as a one way. But I guess the issue is that you go from, if you're going the wrong way, you're going into an intersection where the people who are all doing the right thing have a sign that says always stop. And so the people doing the right thing assume everyone's stopping, and the people coming the wrong way, who should be able to realize they're going the wrong way because there's one-way signs right at that intersection, don't have a stop sign, obviously, because they're not supposed to be going in that direction. But that was a constituent concern that I said I would raise here. But I did go around and try and look at what it actually looked like there, and I sent my pictures over to Acting Commissioner Polluti, just to get kind of a second opinion. But I mean, it seems clearly marked, and people seem to maybe clearly doing the wrong thing, and you can't kind of signage your way into getting people to do the right thing. But I did want to make sure that I raised up that concern, and I don't know if there's been accidents or not, or if this has been kind of, we've been navigating it somehow, or if it's just more enforcement. But I know there's often officers over on Lower Mary in general.
I'm unaware of any collisions from those circumstances in my career. I grew up on that part of the south side. It's been one way my entire lifetime there. I'm not aware of any problems. I could see the person's point, but I don't have any data or anything to support that as being likely or something that's occurring.
Yeah, but it's already marked as the all-way stop, so.
The point is, if you're going the
Yeah.
wrong way, there is no sign, so the people who.
Yeah, I'm just trying,
A statement that I'm receiving, I'm not saying that I personally observed this, is that people who are going the wrong way, despite the one-way sign, are going into that intersection without a stop sign, because there shouldn't be a stop sign because they're going the wrong
Yeah.
way. But the expectation of everyone who is stopped is that the person over there will stop if they're not processing the fact that that person shouldn't be going that direction anyway. So there's kind of the people who are doing the right thing, they're without if they're not really processing, hey, this person's going the wrong way. Maybe I should be concerned that this person's gonna continue to do illegal driving. That their mindset will be, oh, it's an always stop, everyone's going to stop. And that person if they're, I don't know, I don't know how to further
Yeah.
explain it, but this is how it's explained to me, and I said I would bring it up to the traffic board.
Okay, just to clarify, so was that for discussion and awareness, or was there are you advancing a motion or?
I
something
think
official?
just discussion at this point. It was more if someone had an idea of something that we could do better, that I would be interested in that. But I didn't have anything that struck me as how to fix it, I mean,
I guess the only thing I could see, if you're saying posting signage on what would be the west side of that intersection, traveling southbound, but like that would apply to every one-way street and intersection in the city. I believe absent alternate side parking, there's legal parking on both the east and west sides of that street curbside. It is condensed parking because of the number of residents, and the structures are close together there. The lots are small. But I personally wouldn't see the need for that signage. You're posting signage to address the wrong or illegal operation that would be occurring. Like I said previously, I don't see that being a problem or a reoccurring issue or any data to support that as far as crash data or collisions there, just from my professional knowledge or personal knowledge of that intersection.
appreciated. And if that should change, please keep me in the loop, I guess.
Sure.
Thanks.
Any other business, new business before the traffic board? If not, then we'll call for adjournment. Need a motion to adjourn, Mr. Martinez, or you do a motion?
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.